by the end, he's transformed in some fundamental way. Veronica and the women of Jerusalem are torn with grief. And Veronica, I think the women of Jerusalem, the first sign of real grief, if passing, I think show compassion for Jesus and his suffering, for which they receive a dire warning of what is soon to beset Jerusalem. And it's the word compassion that I just want to reflect on for a little while. Henri Nouwen tells us the word compassion generally evokes positive feelings. We like to think of ourselves as compassionate, people who are basically good, gentle, and understanding. We more or less assume that compassion is a natural response. Who would not feel compassion for a poor old man, a hungry child, a paralyzed soldier, a fearful girl? It seems almost impossible to imagine that compassion does not belong among our most self-evident human qualities. Do we not feel deeply offended when someone accuses us of lacking compassion? Does that not sound as if we were accused of a lack of humanity? Indeed, we immediately identified being compassionate with being human. An incompassionate human being seems as inconceivable as a non-human human being. But if being human and being compassionate are the same, then why is humanity torn by conflict, war, hatred, and oppression? Henri Nouwen tells us the word compassionate is derived from the Latin words pati and cum, which together mean to suffer with. Compassion asks us to go where it hurts, to enter into places of pain, to share in brokenness, fear, confusion, and anguish. Compassion challenges us to cry out with those in misery, to mourn with those who are lonely, to weep with those in tears. Compassion means full immersion in the condition of being human. Therefore, compassion is not among our most natural responses. We are pain avoiders, and we consider anyone who feels attracted to suffering abnormal, or at least very unusual. However, it is to compassion that we are called in this sorrowful mystery. We are called to enter into suffering with Jesus and go where we would rather not go. As always, we have the shining example of Mary, who I am sure walked alongside Jesus throughout the way to Calvary, all the way to the foot of the cross. Her love and compassion was not fleeting, but complete and uncompromising. Reflecting on Mary, watching Jesus carrying his cross, coming close, being pushed back by the crowd and the soldiers. The Stations of St. Alphonsus comes to mind. Their looks became like so many arrows to wound those hearts which love each other so tenderly. My most loving Jesus, by the sorrow you experienced in this meeting, grant me the grace of a devoted love for your Holy Mother, and you, my Queen, who were overwhelmed with sorrow, obtain for me a tender and frequent remembrance of the passion of your Son. This sorrowful mystery grants us not only a tender remembrance, but a chance to fully enter in compassion with Jesus as he carries his cross, we too can walk with Mary to the foot of the cross. The compassion of Mary, which led her to walk with Jesus as he carries his cross, inspires us to set ourselves close to the cross of Jesus. Raniero Cantalamessa tells us, staying close to the cross of Jesus, these words tell us that the first and most important thing to do is not just stay close to the cross in sorrow and silence. No, this might seem heroic, and yet it is not the most important thing. It may not even signify anything. The vital thing is to stay close to the cross of Jesus. In other words, what counts is not one's own cross, but Christ's cross. It is not suffering that counts, but believing, thereby making Christ's sufferings our own. The main thing is faith. He tells us that the greatest thing about Mary beneath the cross was her faith, which was even greater than her suffering. Again, this sorrowful mystery puts us close to the cross of Jesus as we walk with him in the presence of Mary. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and overburdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." In connection with the cross of Jesus, this seems a little contradictory. But I know from experience, certainly from my crosses, my burdens in life have always been lightened by the presence of Jesus, helping me to carry my yoke. Jesus himself, or Jesus present in the loving people who surround me, who have helped share my struggles and pain. As a young man living and growing up in an industrial town, I used to visit an uncle who was a farm worker and used to go to the farm where he worked. And I loved it. It was just a wonderful experience. And I got into reading a little bit about the history of farming. And I love the image of the farm yoke, used to carry a heavy burden by taking it on our shoulders and across our shoulders. It's almost like the cross member Jesus carried of his cross. But it is the double yoke which comes to mind when I reflect on Jesus sharing my burdens, walking together with a shared load in unity and talking together in harmony. A double yoke lightens the burden, but also means that you have to be in step, in tune. It can only be done when you build up a relationship with the other person. When we pray the sorrowful mystery of Jesus carrying his cross, we can join him because of our relationship with him. We need, as Bishop Robert Barron said at the Eucharistic Conference, we need to put Christ at the center of everything. He made reference to the rose window at Notre Dame, where in the very center of the window is Mary, and on her lap is the child Jesus, Christ at the center of the window. And the bishop said that if we make Jesus the center of our lives, build that relationship with him, then we build something beautiful like the rose window. Everything is in order. Everything is right. and as it should be. It's a beautiful thing. So let us journey together, bringing our crosses and setting ourselves close to Jesus, carrying his cross in faith, compassion, and in love